Why on earth did you want to be the manager of the San Diego Padres and everything that goes with it?
This is a challenge of a lifetime. And I've been a part of this organization. I love this organization. And to be in a leadership position and try to take this team to a place that's never been is very exciting. And I'm just excited for that challenge and ready for it.
But you're not coming into a building process. You're coming to it's different from when you play the expectations, back-to-back trip to the playoffs. Why do you feel that you're the right guy to help this, to take them to the next level?
Yeah, that is the exciting part, is like we're not tearing it down and rebuilding. We've got a team that's ready to win, and we've got players that are, ready to win, and that's probably the last feather in their cap that they need. What I'm excited about is like being able to partner with those guys and help them achieve something that, is very difficult to achieve in this sport. And if I can be just one, ounce of someone that can help them achieve that, like that's what I'm all about. But it's about them and about what they want to achieve, and I'm a small part of that.
A handful of guys in that clubhouse who've also gone through a handful of managers. Can I ask you specifically, what was like Manny Machado's reaction when he heard that you were going to be the guy, or you reached out to him?
Yeah, when we chatted, he was excited about it. He's like, Craig, he's like, our relationship goes beyond, the field and the dugout and stuff. But he's like, I'm excited to have you along with us, and we're going to create something that's pretty special in San Diego. My last thing, like, did AJ have to sell you in this? Like, how persuasive was he? And what does your wife think about possible 3 a.m., 4 a.m. calls talking about this roster that could be? AJ doesn't call anybody at 3 a.m. He's not. He's a texter. He's not a text. I think part of this process was him talking with Audrey and sitting on a Zoom together with her and explaining, like, hey, ask me any questions about what this job entails, and like how often is Craig going to be. He goes, look, I'm not calling him at 3 a.m. like everybody thinks I do. He goes, I don't do that. And he goes, I have so much respect for your family. He's like, how do we create something that in 5 years you guys look back on this and said, this is the best decision we ever made for your family? And he reiterated that throughout the process. He reiterated how much he believed in me and wanted me in this position. And then also was like, anything that we need to do to make your family comfortable and a part of this and enjoy this process, we're willing to do. He said anything's on the table. And so having those conversations made me feel pretty at ease about, when I could say yes, if we had the right processes down, that this could be something that we enjoy and look back on and be like, man, it's the greatest decision we ever made.
Kind of to that point, I find it fascinating that during this process you were interviewing candidates at one point, and then you ended up on the other side of the proverbial table. At what point during that process did you think, oh, I could be that guy?
Probably not until AJ kind of was like, I want you to think about this. And like, he'd kind of like softly mentioned that he wanted me to be more involved in the organization, but we'd had those conversations for, the last 2 years. So I brush it off, probably my, not being, diligent enough and like thinking through some of this stuff ahead of time. It was like I just kind of brushed it off and said, no, my family's more important. We like where we're at. We like the lifestyle. And then, he kind of was like, you're like one of my top candidates. Like I want you to consider, thinking about this. And he goes, I'll regret it if I don't. And so he kind of gave me that sales pitch and gave me the family, dynamic and how he wanted it to make it work and wanted this process, to play out in a certain way. And so that gave me the opportunity to bridge that subject with Audrey. We sat down and talked about it day after day after day. It felt like for years, but it was only like 5 or 6 days. And, we prayed a lot about it. And I asked a lot of my family and friends to pray about it and think about it. And kind of came to the conclusion everybody was a yes. And we just had to work out the family dynamic. And once we did that, it was a huge yes for me because it was an opportunity that I didn't think I could pass up.
Padres have obviously been through a lot of managers recently. AJ's talked about the importance of trying to have stability. How important is it for you to be in this role for quite a long time?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not guaranteed. We're guaranteed tomorrow, and that's about it. So I'm going to live in the moment and do the best I can in the moment. Try to create something that's long-lasting, that lasts in the Padres for as long as we exist. But I know, that isn't always how it goes with managers and baseball and stuff like that. But I'm excited for the opportunity, excited for the challenge, and excited to make these next 3 years the best 3 years the Padres have ever had.
By far the most important question, scratch golfer. How hard is the golf game going to take a hit because of this job?
Oh, man, it's going to suck. I was really playing really good when this opportunity came about, and I'm like, yeah, it's over. I'm done. I managed 4 kids and kept my handicap where I needed it to be, but I think this job's going to put the kibosh on it. But maybe, there's a way, like maybe I can create some opportunities for the staff to have some camaraderie together where we go golfing together, and then maybe I can keep that handicap where I need it to be.
You talked about the learning curve. How much of a concern is that just in baseball? You don't know what's going to come up through the course of a 162-game season. We know the relationships and all that, but in terms of like playing the game of chess night in, night out, how confident are you that you're going to be where you need to be to help the team succeed in that manner?
Yeah, it's not something I've done yet, and so I can't really judge myself on that, but I know that it'll be a learning curve. I know that I'll need experience, but I need people around me that are going to help me expedite that learning curve, and I'll put in a ton of work this offseason and be as prepared as I can, and then it'll probably go all out the window as soon as game 1 goes, and then we'll learn throughout the season, and hopefully as the season goes, I keep improving and improve with the team, and we hit the ground and we're humming by the end of the season and ready to make a nice playoff run.
Bob Melvin probably left his pitchers in a little bit too late. Mike Schill probably took his pitchers out a little too early. Where's Craig Stammen going to be?
I'm a pitcher at heart, and I know what it felt like to get taken out of games. There's always going to be that side of me that's like, I think he can get out of this, but I think having Ruben by my side, us together, being able to talk about those type of things and have a plan going into the game ahead of time is going to be very important. I'm going to rely on Ruben a lot, but I had the experience of all those, avenues from the other side of things, and now I'm the person making the decisions, but going to make that decision together. We're going to make that decision in partnering with the players too, and I think it'll be a fun process.
How will you balance being a father of 4 little kids with being a major league manager?
That'll be a very tough challenge that me and Audrey decided that we were going to be up to, and I'm going to rely on my wife quite a bit, to handle a lot of things that I'm probably leaving on the table a little bit. But if I can go home and spend a couple hours rolling around the ground with a football and playing what we call Fumbarooski, being able to play catch with the boys in the front yard and just create like that structure to our day where I have that time with them, and then I also have the time, where I'm dedicating to this job. I think, it's just about balancing it, and I'll do my best.
Awesome. Thanks.